today, if not all of them, are come with the software, and it is free. You can go to Silhouette America and download the software free. It doesn't matter if you don't have a cutting machine, because you don't need one for what I'm going to show you here. But if you download it, then make sure you download it for your specific type computer, whether it's Macintosh or Windows. And then get yourself a sign-in thing, because that is useful. Even if you don't have a cutting machine, do not worry. You do not need to have a cutting machine for what we're going to do. I use this almost exclusively in designing things for my particular hobbies, in this case, junk journaling. I buy lots and lots of digital kits, and I buy lots of papers, and I take advantage of all the freebies that are out there and other image sources. And I like to be able to incorporate them into these designs. What I have on this page are some templates for tags. The one thing I do like about this program, as opposed to others, is it talks to me in the language that I know best. Right now I'm dealing with inches, but you can set your preferences with this little blue on the lower right hand corner. You can set your preferences to centimeters if that's what you would like, but for this case it's inches. And I know that these tags are 2.7 and 5 by 5 inches. I can make these any size I want. For example, I can take this thing and move it this way, and just remember one thing: CTRL Z, hitting those two keys on a PC. There's a similar function on the Mac, but I don't know what it is. You hit CTRL Z and you go back to where you were. And you can go back several of the steps. Now, I can't tell you the difference between the free version and the one I have. I believe the one I have, which is a business edition, which has all of the bells and whistles, I can go back completely to anything I've been doing. I think with the free edition you have like maybe, I don't really know how many, but maybe 3. You can go back 3 times or 4 times. Maybe it's a little bit more than that. But anyway, what I'm showing you is I like this because it shows me how big it is, what size it is. And if I want to resize it, I can do one of 2 things. I just showed you how I could resize it by pulling the handles or the corner. But if I have a specific size in mind, like say I wanted it to be 2.5, I would have to unlock it and make this 2.5 and hit enter, and that's the new size. I'm going to go hit CTRL Z to put me back to where I was before. These are all the same size. Now, the fun that I have right now is in filling them. I'm going to go over to this palette, and when I go to the little almost like clear gray overlapping triangle, and it clears everything that's inside of these. So I can start creating anew. And how do you do that? Okay, I have at the same palette setting this polka dotted thing that when you highlight it with your mouse, it's a blue background with white polka dots. Click on it, and here are some patterns that you get with the software. It just comes automatically with the software. I haven't tried this one. Let me see. And then you must still hit select. See this button over here to the top of the left corner, the blue button with the arrow? That's your select key. Most of the time that's the one you're going to be using, at least today. So you have to have something selected. That's selected, and this means nothing. Okay, so it must mean the same thing as shown on the palette, which is clear. But if I wanted to put stripes, you click it to select it and add stripes. If you want little teeny tiny stripes, you just hit the scale button till it's the way you want. If you there's no point in panning because there's nothing else in this pattern except stripes. I'll show you what panning does a little bit later. But you can angle them. Suppose I wanted diagonal stripes. That's how easy that was, this angle at the bottom. I could angle it any way I want. I still can get it down to smaller stripes and angle it. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward. Let's go to the second one now, and I'll show you some of the paper that I have purchased and used in many of my projects. So if I have used the printed papers, the actual printed papers, they're also in this library. And for anybody that wants to try doing this, I will do another video that shows how you get your own patterns and papers from your computer, which I assume they are on because most of these are purchased as digitals, and how you get them from a place in your computer where you store them into this library. And the reason this library is so powerful is some of the tools that get applied to those patterns just make life fun and easy. And you'll catch on as soon as I show you. All right, let me start filling up these tags. Oh, that's kind of okay, but if I hit the pan button and then I go with my cursor and land on it, and it's got to be not, if I just leave the hand, it moves the file. I'll hit CTRL Z to put it back in its proper place, but now I know I'm on that. So now I'm going to pan the pattern. Pan it until I see something I like. This is like looking at your paper. Oh, look at that pink. Let me go over here. Is that not pretty? Yes, let's put that in there. Okay, so that's right there. I think I'm going to pan it a little bit more because there's a line right there. Yeah, look. Now I can make that row smaller and take in more of the pattern. Now what this does, this pattern, is it takes one pattern like this and repeats it. So the smaller you go, the more you're getting it repeated several times. Let me just show you what that would look like. See how it tiles them? And if you wanted that tile look, there it is. It's right there for you. But I tend to like to hone in. These are such nice high quality images that I like to pan them and get, you know, real close to them. So that would be pretty. So let's try something else. I have loads and loads and loads of patterns, and they're just so much fun to play with. I cannot tell you. Oops. I meant to go to the next one. I'm going to CTRL Z back out of there and go to this next one. And here's a crochet pattern that I bought. And honestly, I wish I had all these names handy so I could give them all credit. But I can't. I just can't quite do that. So, as I said before, it is tiling this pattern. The smaller you go, the more tiling you get, which is kind of a nice feature, isn't it? It's like having this lace, so now you have to position it, and there you go. But that's not all you can do. You can take this pattern, and you go up here to the open the image effects panel, and you can modify it. Okay, you can make it darker, and you can change the color. This is going to be interesting. I don't know how this is going to work, but you can get green backgrounds and blue backgrounds and purple and so forth. And if you go to either end of the spectrum, you get the original. You can invert the pattern. I haven't tried doing that with this one. And there you go. Look at that. And of course, that's not too appealing. So you'd want to go to the brightness. It'll take the white and it'll make it perfectly white. And so that's a black lace. And then you can, it looks almost blue. That's because of the original coloring of this particular photograph. But there you go. Contrast, you can increase it. So with that original, now I'm going to go backwards with my CTRL Z. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Whoops. I'm doing it too fast. It's a very complicated design. There I am. Okay, I'm back. Sometimes I ask this wonderful program to work really hard, and the more complicated the image that I'm bringing in, such as this one, the more messages I'm sending to the computer as I click my easy CTRL Z. I don't know if I'm making myself clear, but that's what sometimes will stall my computer. Okay, let's go to the next one. Now I have to go back and hit my little polka dotted thing, and there comes up all the patterns to include my beautiful digital kits. I love this lady. Let me see if I can, oh, where is she? Oh, she's not showing up, is she? Oh, this is one of my favorite little figures. Seneca Pond is where I got her from, I believe. And the reason I can't find her is the scale is wrong. Whoops, there she is. There she is. Now, pan her. There she goes. I just love this little girl. I love her. She's like one of my favorite things. On the other hand, the only thing I cannot do with these patterns at the moment is, and I have to think about how to do that because almost everything is possible. Suppose I wanted to put her, what would I do? What would I do? I have her isolated. I call them extracted and isolated. For example, suppose I wanted her to put her on top of this stripe or the lace. I'm digressing now because you already know how to fill these. I was going to go and fill them some more. But now let me show you something else. I can go here to open the trace panel, select the trace area, and trace her. Now hit outline, because I don't want to trace all the individual pieces and parts of her. Move my threshold to about 96. This doesn't always work perfectly. You have to fiddle with this sometimes. And then you hit trace outer edge. And then I just select everything in here. That is this whole tag and her. And I go to the crop on modify. I think this is the modify. Let's see what is this called? Yeah, modify panel. And I hit crop. And now I have her. Whoops, forget the widgets. I don't know how that keeps coming up. Okay, now I'm not into the fill. And here's the difference between the free version and my version, the one I have, which I've paid for, and for me it's worth every single penny. Okay, so if I wanted to take out this white so that, if I put her on top of here, she's going to have those little white things in there. Now there's two things you can do. You go to this edit points. No, you don't. I'm sorry about that. You go to this little, I don't even know what this tool is called. Sometimes it'll tell you, yeah, draw a polygon. And to get real close, I can go boom, boom. I'm putting these are called edit points. Every time I click the mouse, I am adding another point. And I just drag it down to where I want. I'm only going to do the one for lack of time here. And what I'm trying to do is put the holes. You know how your scissors gets in there and you can cut it or maybe not cut it? Well, this is how this works here in the design. So now I go up to here, select. I'm going to go out to show you what happens. I'm going to select these two things. I've selected her outline and this box that's lined with red. I go back down to the modify where I did crop and I hit subtract. There you go. She no longer has that white. And so with this simple program in the very short time I've been playing with it here, I'm going to push out a little bit, I have shown you a lot of what can be done. And it's really not only interesting and fun. Before I print this, I could add as many elements as I want to these tags. I started, and besides to replace my tag, I'm going to hit copy and paste because I ruined my tag by putting her in it from a pattern fill and then tracing around her. And so I could use her as a quote, an element. So she's an element. I could put her on all of the tags or none of the tags or wherever I want. And when I print this, and it's just as easy, let me show you now. Let's fill in the rest just for funsies here. Like I said, I could put just like you would decorate a tag with glue and pieces of paper, I can do that digitally here on all of my papers. The only thing you cannot do, remembering it, is if the color is black and white like this, I could not change the color of this. I'll show you that so you'll know. Here I go on this palette, and no matter what I do with this sliding bar, it's going to stay black and white. This one, on the other hand, I could change the colors, most of which I don't really like. And remember, I can make it darker or lighter. Now those will work on the black and white as well. All right, so I know what I can't do. Now here's back where I am again. Whoops. Get this pattern, go up to my patterns, play some more. Let's see what I can find. That's fun. This one I'm not sure. You just have to play with it and find what you'd like. There's one that's pretty. And then this one, I could make a little design. I obviously want to change the scale of this and pan it so I don't have any lines. There I go. And oh, I have so many, like the book page. Oh, this is a book page. Let's see what it does. Oh, this is an old book page. And pan it. So I might as well, instead of tearing a lovely book, there it is. It's in my patterns and I can just add it. And let's see, what else do I have? Okay, this one here, I can, whoops, I didn't mean to move it. I'm going to go back. I want to move this one out so that it's not in the way. But remember now, this one here, I can pan it and find what I want. You know, I could just, it's looking, I think maybe I need to change the orientation. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see what this is. And pan it again. And enlarge it again. And pan it until I get what I want. And like so. That looks pretty good to me. See? Yeah. And on I go. Let's see what I'm going to do with this one with the butterfly. Pan it. Find just the right place. Oh, any of them are good. Let me do it again. Remember, you have to have this symbol. You have to lock on it. And we could just do the butterfly, or a portion of the butterfly. Anyway, all right, now I'm going to show you. You don't need a printer. You go up here to File, and you hit Print. And you get this print preview. So you can kind of look, none of the red lines that were used in the design elements, like there was a red line around her, show up. So those things do not show up even though they show up on the mat that you're working on. So this would look pretty good. I would just hit this button and I won't print it because it's not what I'm going to want. My printer would come up, 3760 Epson EcoTank, and I'd hit print and off she'd go to the printer. So that's how you design. You use your papers and your freebies and your elements and your designs to do anything you want. You can create this, you don't have to be a tag. I'm going to cancel. It can be the whole sheet, or I measure places I want things. Like if I'm doing a paper bag and I have a piece to cover the front, cover the back, cover the middle, and to cover those little flaps that go over, I measure them with a ruler, and then I create a shape that I need to have it, and then I fill it with whatever pattern. I will show you one I've done. Let me see if I can find it real quick so you can see. Whoopsie. I'm sorry. Okay, this is what I wanted to do, and I'll show you some of the things that I have done. Obviously the tag play, I've done a lot of that lately, but I have been making, oh yeah, here's one that shows the bags. I'm going to call this one Up. I'm going to get out of my print, yeah, so cancel. Now this one here, look, I've got a page-sized for one part of the bag. This is my paper bag folio, and you know those flaps that come over the side? You know, you always want to cover those. Well, this dimension here, I'm going to hit CTRL Z to get it back where it needs to go, but what I've done is I have, see this up here at the top, right below the design, it's all grouped. So if I ungroup it, lots of things happen. Because I didn't group this, I'm getting a little bit too complicated, but I should probably use this other one instead. Let me go ahead and do that, because what has happened is all those things you see selected are, I have not grouped those designs. What I wanted to do, and I got a mess down here, I'm going to just delete. I'm going to take this, and these are the flaps, and I was able to size them and put them on the same sheet of paper. If I line everything up carefully, I can maximize my print. So I don't have much waste of printing. Not that we don't all love scraps, but we do. Okay, so here's a piece, and like I said before, I could make this any pattern I want. You know, I just pan it to get what I want. I could, let's see, flip it. I never know. This is a part I'm directionally challenged. There it is. I can make this to match that and pan it and get just the design I want and make it a little larger so that it's not white lines showing. And likewise, this one here, this is another whole complicated drill which I could show you in a more advanced way. But what I wanted to do was take these basic designs that I had, and you'll see what I had in a minute. And I wanted a complementary design to go on the inside of the bag. So I did several things using this software, by the way, that I would go in if anybody ever would want to. And because I undid this, see this background? It doesn't have to be there. But for print purposes, I wanted it to be there. So there's so many things you can do. And I think I'm going to leave it at that right now, just so you can see.